Well, good morning, everybody. It's the beginning of day 4 of this adventure. That isn't water, but it is a grass runway. We're going to try and take off and try and make it back to Charlotte today.
There are zillions of wind farms out here in North Dakota. Since the wind is almost always blowing 10 to 15 miles an hour, these things get a heck of a workout. Right there, right off my nose, that's the farm I grew up on. It's changed a little bit, but that was home growing up, right there. Alright, well that little squiggle of trees right down there, that's the Red River. Got I-29 right in front of it there. And so with crossing that little squiggle of trees in the countryside here, we'll be transitioning from North Dakota into Minnesota. That'll be state number 2 for the day. Alright, well we're coming in for our first landing of the day down in Fergus Falls, Minnesota.
Traffic Cherokee 650 Julie, downwind 13 mil lane.
We're about 40-45 miles southeast of Fargo. Getting ready to land. Now the winds out here are reporting, winds are 150 at 15, gusting to 19, so kind of a quartering headwind. Not going to be too bad, but gotta love the crosswinds in the Plain States. Well everyone, welcome to Fergus Falls. State number 2 of the day, stop number 1, a little bit of fuel. This is going to be a gas and go, and then on to, hopefully, near Rockford, Illinois next. So just departed Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Got gas, and I'm heading up to my next stop here outside of Rockford, Illinois. And by climbing, right now my ground speed is 52 knots. Climbing at about 90 miles an hour. So yeah, this is what the deal is when you've got semis and cars passing you on the freeway, because I'm flying directly into about a 30-knot headwind. I'm getting a lot of practice flying this airplane today. Alright, well we're a little bit higher in altitude now. I got us up to 9,500 feet. Airspeed is almost 100 knots now, which not so sure how well that's going to show up. We're doing just a little over 100 miles an hour indicated. So we're making progress. Right now we're outside of Alexandria, Minnesota. There's still very much farmland out here as far as the eye can see. Beautiful lakes off there. Well, a couple of minutes ago I decided to do a loop-de-loop in the airplane and check out what my true airspeed was. And going on this bearing 134 heading towards my fuel stop here just outside of Minneapolis. I'm turning about 108, 109 knots. A couple of minutes ago I turned around and did a 180-degree turn, and that was at 98 knots. So 108 minus 98, you get about 4 knots difference, so roughly 103, 104 knots. So get about 103 knots true airspeed up here at about 9,500 feet. And I don't know how well this is going to show up here, but I'm burning about 9.4 gallons an hour. So what I'm seeing with this airplane 104 knots, 9.5 gallons an hour, at 9,500 feet today. So actually, not too bad. It's actually very, very easy to do true airspeed checks out in this part of the world because all the roads go in straight lines and they're perfect grids. You just line yourself up with the road and you're pretty well set in all directions. We're picking up, I'm actually pretty excited, we're picking up about a 10 knot tailwind all of a sudden, so that helps. Got an oar down here. Another thing you don't want to leave the house without is your inflatable life jacket. So we got a couple of life jackets going on in here, so you can wear them when you're out boating. I can't really get to it right now, but in the back compartment, which you can't really see because of all the junk I've got going on here, but behind the seat back here is a big storage area. And in that storage area, we got a trolling motor. So we have the option of putting a trolling motor up the side of this thing and idling around and fishing around the lake without running the main engine. So that's kind of cool. We talked a couple of days ago about the power quadrant, and we got our throttle, our prop, and our mixture controls up above us here, which is kind of interesting. It certainly gets them out of the way, but it does make it a little unusual when you're moving around in here. You got to make sure you don't bump your head. There's lots of options for head hazards in here. But a couple of the things that this plane has, which other things you want to pay attention to, is down here we have the water rudders. That's up right now. We're in flight, but that drops down. That actually is for the when we're idle taxiing around in the water. We're water taxiing, so we can control the plane when we don't have enough wind authority over the rudder to steer us. We also got our trim control here, and that's hydraulic. So really important if you ever in a lake amphibian, check your hydraulic pressure. This gauge here, which that's your hydraulic pressure. Always be watching that thing. It runs your flaps, runs your gear control, and it runs your elevator trim. That's kind of an important one to look at. That's not on the standard checklist for most of the planes that a lot of us fly. I got to tell you, this plane is actually very, very easy to fly across country. I put over 1,000 miles on this thing already. I'll have to do the math on the hours, but in terms of distance, we've gone well over 1,000 miles. And it's actually really comfortable. And once we got the plane trimmed out, we have electric rudder trim. Let me move this out of the way. We have electric rudder trim down here. And of course, the elevator trim. This thing is just sitting right on rails, so there's no autopilot in this thing. I'm hand flying this, but it's actually tracking our distance really well. It's tracking our altitude really well. So we're actually having a really good day here. Really smooth, nice way to fly. And we are in Iowa. We're a couple of miles outside of Clinton, which is where we're going to be stopping for our fuel and lunch. Not sure what highway that is. I'm taking a total stab in the dark, because that might be I-35, but it probably isn't. I'll look it up later. And this here tells me we have 13 more minutes to launch. Dropping down below the clouds like I did cost me 10 knots of airspeed. So my times are off a little bit now. But I wasn't sure when the holes were going to open up, and I found one that worked for me. So now I've got clear VFR below the clouds, straight on into Clinton. Clinton traffic, Seaplane 2793 Papa is on short final for runway 14, Clinton.
Seaplane, Clinton, clear, comp.
Seaplane here.
Are you guys heading to the self-serve, or do you need to be parked?
Self-serve would be fine. Actually, I'm going to get the crew car if there's one available.
Sure, if you want to park next to the Cherokee over there, I'll be fine.
There's a line guy here, I guess, trying to wave me in.
That's surprising.
I gotta admit, this is my favorite kind of crew car to get. There are warnings everywhere. There's about 19 different check messages on here, little stickers on here. Fuel gauge doesn't work. It's freaking awesome. Now you gotta trust me on this. If you're ever in the upper Midwest, do yourself a favor and stop at a Casey's General Store and order the taco pizza. It sounds weird, but trust me, it is worth it.
All right, we are climbing out of Clinton, Iowa, and we have passed into our fourth state of the day. We are in Illinois now. We've been lucky. About half of our trip so far has been tailwinds. Looks like it's going to be probably light and variable for the rest of the trip here, for the next quite a bit. So, well, we'll see how that goes for us. But I haven't really appreciated the 20-knot tailwind before, so maybe we'll get some of that again. And just like that, we're in Indiana. So that is state number, I don't know. It's another state for the day. I'm going to have to go back and count again. So it'd be North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and now Indiana. So that's the fourth state for today, which is awesome. Oh, I think that's Illinois too. I have to look and see. Yeah, it's either state 4 or state 5 for the day. I've got a little bit of a problem going on here, and that is that I've got a landing coming up in 100 miles here. It's about 120 miles, so just over an hour from now. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to land there, which is almost exactly halfway between my last stop in Clinton, Iowa, and home in Concord, or if I want to push forward a little bit further. That's going to be my problem is the Appalachian Mountains are right there. I've got the Blue Ridge Mountains to deal with. And I either have to stop before them, and then pretty much I don't have a choice, because once I clear the apps, it's all downhill and into Concord, so there's no point in stopping afterwards, so I need to stop beforehand. The problem is, if I go too far and I stop, I'm going to have to be climbing and potentially circling to get down to. This thing does a lot of things real well, but I've got to get high enough to get over the mountains, for crossing clearance. But so I'm trying to figure out how close can I get, but I can still take off and climb straight into the mountains without, and clear them, without having to climb to make clearance before I cross the mountains. So I don't know. I'm still working on that one. Well, there's Cincinnati. There's the Ohio River. One more state. We are getting just a wee bit closer to home. so here's my problem. You can see the sun's getting a little low in the sky. I've got about 20 minutes to land for my refuel stop, which I need to get. I don't have enough gas to go the last 2 hours to Concord without it. Problem is, we're right at 7 o'clock right now, or it'll be 7 o'clock when I land. Sunset is at 8:41. So I'd be looking at landing around 9:30. That's quite a bit after dark in this airplane. I'm not 100% sure yet of the night lighting situation in here. That is my big concern. So I got to figure out what to do here. Charge on traffic, seaplane 903 Pop is clear of 21, charge on. Well, I went ahead and I looked at the time, I looked at the winds, and I decided to go ahead and push on to Mooresville, go ahead and get home tonight. I am just in the eastern edge right now of the state, and you can start to see the very western edge of the Appalachian Mountains down here. It's going to be very, very close to dark, or just shortly after dark when I get back. But I looked at the airport that I got gas at, and well, they were closed down. They weren't. The facilities were closed, and there wasn't a lot available for overnight accommodations right around there. And I'm going to get back right around a little bit later than I wanted to get back, but still not crazy late. So I think it's the right decision. I'm pretty comfortable with the airplane. I've had 15 hours in this thing now, so I know where the good parts are, and it seems to be pretty reliable. So I'm okay for the evening. Lighting is going to be a little bit of an issue, but it's just got the one post light here, which is awesome. But between that and and we do have this thing up here. Although I haven't figured out how to turn it on yet. There's a light switch over here that I haven't quite done anything, but we'll figure it out. It's going to be fun. All right. Over the hills and into Mooresville. All right, so I'm getting ready to go into the mountains. You can see them out here. But check this out. This profile view on the floor flight actually shows me highest point, clearance, and everything along the way. So I would have to get much higher than that in order to make the clearance on the route that I'm on right now. That is really, really cool. I'm really excited.
Wow! Now that was a trip. 12 states, just shy of 2,000 miles, 5 fuel stops over 4 days, and one amazing way to see this country. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, as always, thanks for being my wingman.